this Unit 9, Advanced Topics, the Recent and the Influential Papers. Deep Reinforcement Learning. It is a category of machine learning where our intelligent machine, they can learn from their own actions, like the way the humans, we learn from our experiences. Our machine also, we normally do not feed everything into the machine. They perform certain action and depending on the action, they will learn. If they are rewarded after their action, that means they can perform that action again. If the machines, they have performed any wrong action, in that case, it will be penalized. So basically, deep reinforcement learning, it is a category of machine learning where our intelligent machine, they can learn from their actions. Like the humans, normal people, they learn from their experiences. For example, if a baby is born, he doesn't know anything. He starts learning step by step from his experiences. Suppose there is a cup of tea kept in front of him, which is in which we have tea which is hot. Suppose he touches that cup of tea. He feels hot. He will remove his hand. Next time, that small baby, he will not touch that cup of tea again. That is an example of deep reinforcement learning. That means he has learned from his own experience that this cup of tea is going to be hot. It might be hot. I should not touch it. Similarly, if there is a small child, he tastes lemon. He finds that the taste of the lemon is sour. That means next time he will not be interested in picking up that piece of lemon again. So that is, he is learning from his own experiences. He is learning everything by step, by his own experiences. So in this, that similarly our machines, when we talk about deep reinforcement learning, our machines, they learn from their own experiences. They perform certain action and depending on their action, they might be rewarded or they might be penalized. And depending on that, they will perform their next step. So, in this type of machine learning, there is an agent. Agent is a person or a particular part of a program. It can be an object who is rewarded or penalized based on the actions. Actions which get them to the target outcome. They are reinforced. Means there is an agent in our machine learning who is performing the operations, who is performing those actions. And depending on the actions, he might be rewarded or penalized. And depending on that, his main goal is to reach the target outcome. So that is deep reinforcement learning. Learning by interacting with our environment. It is probably the first approach that comes to our mind when we study, when we think about learning. Learning by interacting with the environment. Every time, suppose we go to a new environment, we explore that environment and we learn by interacting with it. So, learning by interacting with the environment is the first approach when we talk about learning something. The learning entity, who is learning that approach, he is not told everything in advance, but he discovers from his actions that when he wants to reach a certain goal, what all should he do. He learns by the method of trial and error. He tries something, he might face some error into it. So learning by trial and error, this is the main thing in deep reinforcement learning. These actions, they can not only produce the immediate reward, but They sometimes some actions, if an agent performs, he might be rewarded later on in the future for that particular action. So we have in this deep reinforcement learning, we are basically focusing on what? That we are not, our machine, it is not fed everything in advance with. He learned by interacting with the environment. So deep reinforcement learning, it is a category of machine learning where our intelligent machine, they learn from their actions. They perform certain actions, and depending on the action they start learning. If the action produces some reward for them, they may perform that action later on again. Similarly, if they are penalized, they will not perform that action again. So this is about deep reinforcement learning. Talking about the key elements of deep reinforcement learning. What are the basic elements? When we are talking about deep reinforcement learning, what all elements do we require? First of all, the main important thing that we require in deep reinforcement learning is the agent. Agent, we can say it is an entity who is performing the actions. Suppose, let us talk about a particular game that you are playing on your laptop. In that particular game, what is happening? You have a particular agent. Agent is who? The person, the entity whom you want to take to the final goal. That entity, that is the agent. Agent is the main person whom you want to take to the final outcome. Agent, we can say, if we are talking about a game, agent is the entity on which we are performing our actions. The agent is the entity which is moving left, right, up, down, jumping here and there, moving down, coming up. So that entity we can call an agent on which we are performing all the action and whom we want to take to our goal. So the agent that represents the solution, which is a computer program with a single role of making decision to solve the complex decision making problems under uncertainty. He performs certain actions, but these all actions, they are uncertain. These actions, they performing with uncertainty. That means agent, it represents the solution, which is a computer program which is with a single goal of making decision to solve the complex decision making problems under uncertainty. So that is what an agent is. Now talking about the environment. If we are talking about a game on the laptop, that environment in which the agent is performing all the action, that is the environment. An environment is a representation of the problem, which is everything that comes after the decision of the agent. So that environment is a place, we can say, where our agent is performing certain action. Environment, it is a representation of the problem where everything comes after the decision of the agent. Our agent, that particular player that we have in our game, he takes certain actions and the environment keeps on changing. He moves to the next stage, he moves forward, next stage, and so on. So that environment depends on the decision of the agent. The environment, it is represented by a set of variables related to the problem. This set of variables and all the possible values they can take, they are referred to as state space. The term is state space. State space is what? The set of variables and all the possible values that the particular agent can take. That means our player who is playing the role of agent in our game, he might take a step forward, backward, up, down. So those all we can call his state space, in what state he can be. That is a state space for him. A state is what? It is an instantiation of the state space. Suppose there's a player for you in the game, he has moved one step forward. That means now he is into the next state. Similarly, he has suppose jumped up. So he has moved up 1 point. So that is the state for him. So the set of variables and all the possible values that the agent can take, that we call the state space. And state is what? State can be any particular instance of the state space. That means from left, right, up, down, whatever state our agent has taken. So that is the particular state in which our agent now is. That means all the spaces that our agent can take, that is the state space, and a particular instance of the state, that it can be left, right, up, down. That is an instance of the state. So these are all the things that our agent can take. Due to all this, the agent, he does not, at one point of time, our agent, he does not have access to the full environment. The environment he accesses step by step when he moves on. This particular thing, this is called observation. The state space that an agent can observe. What is observation? Observation is the particular space that the agent is at one point of time able to view. When you're playing a game, the entire environment is not visible to you. Suppose you are reaching a particular target, you want to reach a particular gate in your game. That particular gate will not be visible to you initially when you start playing the game. You move on step by step, and then moving on, you will receive that particular gate. So that environment initially is not visible to the agent. He moves on step by step. That is called observation. The particular environment that is visible to the agent at one particular point of time, that is called observation. At each state, the environment, it makes available a set of actions from which our agent, he will choose an action. The agent, he influences the environment through his actions, and the environment, it may change state as a response to the agent actions. That means at one particular point of time, our agent, he will not be displayed with everything. At each state, the environment makes possible a set of actions for him. That means he has to choose whether he wants to go up, whether he wants to go down, he wants to move forward, he wants to catch some particular thing into that environment. So the environment, it makes available a set of actions from which our agent, he will choose an action. The agent, it influences the environment through these actions, and the environment, it may change states as a response to the agent action. So the environment, it commonly has a well-defined task, and it may provide to the agent a reward signal as a direct answer to the agent action. If suppose that means if you're playing a game, your agent has taken some form of star. So that means he will be rewarded with certain points. That means here the agent or performing certain action, that means suppose action is catching a particular star. After catching the star, he is awarded with certain points. So that is a reward for our agent. This reward is a feedback on how well the last action contributes to achieving the task to be performed by the environment. That means if he is rewarded with certain points on catching the star, that means he will understand that when I catch the star, I will be rewarded with certain points, and his target is to accumulate a certain set of points. So on. That means this is a particular action which is rewarded to the agent. The task the agent is trying to solve, it may not have a natural ending. Tasks that have a natural ending, that are called episodic tasks. That means if you're playing a game, if you cross a particular stage, you move to the next stage. After crossing the next stage, you move to the next stage. So these are episodic tasks. Episodic tasks are what? Which have a particular ending. These are called episodic tasks. Conversely, tasks that do not have, they are called continuous tasks, which will keep on happening and happening. So those tasks, they will be known as a continuous task, and the task which have some form of ending, that will be called as the episodic task. Now talking about the agent. The agent may take several time steps and episodes to learn how to solve a task. If our agent, he wants to reach to the goal, what happens? He takes several steps and several episodes to learn that how he will solve that particular task. Now the sum of rewards collected in a single episode will be known as a return. The sum of rewards collected in a single episode. That means suppose we are talking about a particular stage of a game. That means the sum of rewards that is being given to him, that will be known as a return for him. What happens? If we talk about this environment, what all do we have? What all have we talked about till now? First of all, we have an agent. Agent is the entity who is performing all the actions. It is up to the agent to decide that what is the next action that he wants to perform. So that is our stage 1. In the second stage, he performs certain action. And in performing the action, our state changes from one to another. Whenever our agent, he has performed certain action, the state of the environment changes from one state to the another. And depending on this transition, he will be either rewarded or penalized. So that is the whole sole environment of deep reinforcement learning. Here we have an agent, we have an environment. These are the two basic things. Agent is what? He is deciding that what action he wants to perform, what next action he wants to take. Then depending on the action, he will move to that particular action he will perform in the environment, and depending on the action, the state of the environment changes from one state to the another. And after that, he will be either rewarded or penalized depending on his action. So this is the basic thing about deep reinforcement learning. If we talk about two more terms here, one is exploration, second is exploitation. Talking about exploitation. Exploitation is what? Trying to obtain many rewards. An agent, he may prefer the actions that he has tried in the past, and he knows that they will be effective actions in producing the award. That means what an agent does, he sees that if I perform these particular action, I might be rewarded. He performs that action and he is given certain reward for it. Next time, he will prefer doing that action again, performing that action again, because he knows that earlier I was rewarded for performing this action. But in this case, this is called exploitation. But why is this called exploitation? Because he is not able to explore the new points. To discover such action paradoxically, he has to try the action that he has never selected before. So that is called exploration. Now there is a major trade-off between the exploration and exploration and exploitation. In exploitation, he knows that I was rewarded for doing this particular action at one particular point of time. So he will be performing the same action again and he will be rewarded again. But there can be a thing that he could perform and he might run more of points for him, more of reward for him. But he has not explored that stage. If had he explored that stage, so that we would have called that exploration. So there is a major trade-off between exploitation and exploration.